Hi, I'm David Facone, and this is the Grow Your Network, Grow Your Business podcast, the show where we discuss how quality relationships lead to business success. From entrepreneurs to business development professionals and beyond, you will learn the true value that quality networking will have on your business. Welcome to the Grow Your Network, Grow Your Business podcast, where you will learn how trusted business relationships lead to increased revenue. I'm your host, David Facone, founder of Be Sure, where we believe that growing your business could be difficult, but joining us is easy. Our guest today is Todd Cederholm, owner of Paystream. Paystream specializes in direct merchant payment solutions for small businesses, and after spending over 20 years in the restaurant business, Todd has become an expert at helping restaurants maximize their revenue while reducing costs. I have the pleasure of welcoming one of my most trusted partners and someone I consider a good friend. So welcome to the podcast, Todd.
Thank you, David. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you, brother.
Yeah, super excited.
I'm a huge foodie, as you know.
Yeah.
We've shared, we've broken bread many times together, and I love hearing stories from people who are in the restaurant industry, culinary arts. What inspired you to study culinary arts? So how'd you get involved in that?
Well, you know, my grandfather, he was a chef, and he had a catering company out of Boston. And as a kid growing up, when we used to go up there and visit for the holidays, I was always kind of drawn to the kitchen. He was always in the kitchen cooking and always making food. And, you know, he was Sicilian, so, you know, he did a lot with fish. And, you know, one of the fondest memories is he used to grab the eels on Christmas Eve dinners, and he would run around and he would scare all of us with the eels. But I always just kind of had a liking to that. And then, you know, when I was 11 years old, I asked my mom for a season pass to ski Round Top. Okay. And she says, go get a job. Mm-hmm. So not thinking that I would, I ended up walking across the golf course. We lived behind a golf course growing up as a kid. I went up to the restaurant and I said, hey, I need a job. And they laughed at me, and I said, no, for real, I need a job. And they ended up giving me a job. So I worked there in the summers. And what happened was I had a waitress who brought me under her wing in the mornings, and there was a skins games that would go on, and I was about, you know, maybe 6 inches taller than the table, and you know, there's a bunch of older guys, you know, playing around, and when they're going through their scorecards, calling out the skins games, and they were seeing me hustling, busting tables, they would start throwing me the quarters.
Okay.
So I instantly I got hooked. I was leaving, you know, with $20. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
That's awesome.
And, you know, so I just kind of got hooked, and I always stayed in the business, but I always stayed at the front of the house. It was kind of where the money was, but I was always that server who was always in the kitchen, asking the chef what he's doing, you know, trying food, eating food, things like that. So I finally decided, you know, hey, I think it's time to learn the back of the house, and what I ended up doing was decided to go to culinary school, and I learned that side of the business so that I could just be a better operator and know more about the restaurant business as a whole.
So learning the ins and outs, yeah, you got to learn every piece of it to be successful.
Every piece of it, yeah. Especially, you know, there's definitely a very different style of management and running of a business from the kitchen aspect or the back of the house to the front of that house aspect. So really, kind of understanding how the two work is really beneficial for a great operator. And I think it's a little challenging if you don't know the back of the house and you're running the front of the house, or vice versa.
Hey, no, I love that. Great story, man. I didn't realize you got started through golf. I mean, we've played golf a couple of times together, which is cool. So you're a chef, you're a sommelier, you've been involved in owning restaurants, and now you've launched Paystream, which is merchant services. How the heck do you make that leap?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I'll give you the abridged version. So essentially, you know, when COVID hit, you know, and like most business owners, we really kind of had to look at our business model and, you know, how are we going to stay profitable? How are we going to stay in business? How are we going to keep our doors open? And, you know, while we were looking at our P&L, and, you know, you may not know this, but actually processing is the third or fourth highest cost of a controllable that a business will actually pay.
Wow.
And that they incur. So, you know, when we're looking at that, you know, we're going through the P&L and you know, we're looking at, you know, seeing that we paid $250,000 1 year in processing fees. We're like, this can't happen.
Wow.
So I started to do a really deep dive into the payments world and the processing, and kind of seeing, what is it about? How does it work? How can we eliminate these fees? I just started then to see a lot of these businesses that were closing due to cash flow issues, and was really starting to kind of piece it all together. And then that's when the light bulb went off, because I was really finding a need to help these businesses. And when I kind of had my aha moment, I started to realize that if I could form strategic partnerships with both processors and banks, I would be able to then go back to these businesses and help them out, and eliminate or reduce those fees that they're paying, all while giving a better service experience, something that you typically don't see in this industry.
Because you've experienced that firsthand, of course, right? You're
Absolutely.
always trying to increase revenue at the same time reducing expenses. So this hit close to home for you. So it was just a natural progression to start helping people yourself.
It did. And the one thing that we realized when we're really looking at our business model, and when you're breaking down a P&L, when you're looking at these variable costs and stuff, that, if you cut labor, you're going to pay for it somewhere else, right? You either cut your front of the house labor, the service goes down, you're going to lose customers, or you're not going to have enough sales force to drive your sales.
Sure.
You cut someone in the back of the house in the kitchen, your ticket times run longer, you're not going to have more time to turn your tables.
Yep.
So, all of these costs that you cut are all going to cost you somewhere else. But you've already generated the revenue.
Right.
Now you're trying to collect your revenue, and someone's taking a piece of that. So if you get back that piece that they're taking, it immediately goes to your bottom line. It doesn't get eaten up or absorbed anywhere else.
It would be no different than buying the same produce, exactly the same, for a lower price, right?
Exactly,
Same thing.
And you're gonna pay the cost of it too, because you're now putting out a cheaper product,
Right.
And it's not going to drive the same clientele. You can't go from a prime steak in a steakhouse all the way down to a select
Right.
or choice and still charge the same amount of money. People aren't going to come back
hear
over
you.
time. It's going to cost you.
But credit card is just a true fee,
It is.
true fee. So
True fee.
reduce it as much as you can, and that falls down to the bottom line. Well,
does.
that's super cool. So I know Paystream has only been around for about 18 months. So congratulations
Thank you.
on reaching that milestone. But you and I met through the North Jersey Chamber of Commerce, of which I'm an ambassador and you're a member. Was your business plan with Paystream always to network to grow your business?
It was, absolutely. As I began setting up Paystream and making deals with the banks and processors, I knew this industry had very little trust. And, guys like us were looked at as the sinners and tax collectors, historically speaking, right? So, now that I was kind of set up, I knew I had to figure out a way to break in. And the quickest way for me to kind of show who I am and break into the business community world would be through networking and building that trust and confidence in the fellow business community of people that I would be meeting on a day-to-day basis.
Well, that's a great answer, and kudos to you, because I think you're accomplishing that goal. Because I meet so many people in networking that really are not seasoned networkers, and they want to really lay their business on you right away, and you really don't do that. You're about the relationship, which I think it's why we get along so well.
Yeah, I think it's important, and it's definitely something that I've learned in the restaurant business. Is it's all about relationships.
Yeah, 100%.
It really is. And I'm not here to retire tomorrow.
Right.
And same thing, my philosophy in the restaurant business is, we can be trendy and popular, but that's only good for a few years, and then you're out.
Right. Yeah.
I want sustainable growth for years to come. So build those relationships, be a part of the community that you're serving, be a neighborhood restaurant, and
so true.
thrive for longevity.
I had a conversation with a prospective member of Be Sure this week, and they asked, if I join your group, am I going to get a referral? When can I expect a referral?
It's not about
I
that.
said, I don't want to just give you a referral. I want to introduce you to someone that's going to change your life forever, where you can do lots of things together and work on lots of clients together and learn from each other. One-off referral, that sale is closed and it's a done deal. You want something that's going to last forever and continue to generate.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it's really important that people understand the true value of what networking is.
100%.
It's not about just give me something, I'll give you something, a give and take. It's really about how can we strategize, work together, grow together, and create something big that
So
helps.
you segued into my next question very nicely. So in the short amount of time that you've had Paystream, have you had any networking successes that come to mind?
Well, not a lot of networking successes, and one of them especially would be with you, and getting to meet you.
We didn't plan this, audience. This is the first time I'm hearing this answer.
Yeah, but it's true though, because as I said earlier, the trust level that's within my merchant services space is very lackluster. So the ability to meet someone who's a seasoned networker and to make an instant connection with, where we're able to capitalize on each other's feedback and business strategizing, it really kind of opened up the door for me to meet more people and be more of an influential person in the community. Not only through that, through your contacts and bringing me from the chamber into Be Sure, I've been able to meet other fellow networkers that I've been able to strategize with, and we've also been able then to add more added value services for each other's businesses.
I think that word strategize really hits home, because it is not about elevator pitches. It's not about passing referrals necessarily. All that'll come, but strategize is everything. What are you doing that I'm not doing that I should be doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even in the sense, if I give you some sort of idea, if we're strategizing and I give you some sort of idea and it turns around to bring in, somebody who's running a Fortune 500 company,
right,
and it ends up launching, and then they turn around and come back to me. Although it wasn't a referral, it was an idea that we strategized that brought you business that then in turn was able to bring me business. So it's not just, hey, Dave, go talk to this guy. Todd, go talk to this guy. Thank you. On to the next one. It's not about that.
It's building equity together.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, I know there are many, many companies out there that do what you do. It's not just Visa, MasterCard, and Amex. I mean, they would be nothing without guys like you, which is, for the layperson, they might not understand that. But clearly, you've already given us insight into your expertise in the restaurant business. What would you say makes Paystream stand out amongst your competition?
Well, first and foremost, one of the things that we need to know is that Paystream is owned and operated by myself, and we're independent from the clutches of processors. So there's a little bit of security now that goes within the business owner's mind, and that is that you never have to worry about that processor porting or selling the account, losing the agent who sold you that account in the beginning. So you have a direct one-on-one relationship with me. It's my company essentially.
Sure.
And with that, I have a lot of flexibility to also help the businesses in a manner that other processors can't. I don't do any type of contracts. I want to sincerely help these businesses.
Right.
So I really, for example, I have who through a referral from the networking, referred me to a restaurant. I helped this restaurant out, got them a point of sale system, and the restaurant was where the father actually had it for about 30 years, passed away unfortunately. The daughter left nursing school, took it over. She's very smart, very talented, but doesn't really understand the restaurant business, bar business. So went in and I set him up with a POS system, and I consulted with her and showed her actually how to properly cost out her beverage program and, put together a menu, how to choose her glasses, how to do all that stuff. And it's really, she's up 25%.
Wow. Not just so you're helping them in other ways other than just saving fees.
And it's, again, it just kind of goes back to helping people help each other. And I know that if I help you do that, and I'm not asking for anything,
right,
but maybe someone down the road is going to come into your business and say, hey, I'm having a problem. I see the POS you're using. Do you know anybody? How could you help me?
It's really an intangible perk that you're providing because, you're reducing the fees and the costs and increasing the bottom line. But now you have this customer who can lean on you, and she knows that you're a trusted colleague, and if she has that issue with her steak or her produce, she's going to pick up the phone and call you, and then that's just going to build that relationship further and keep a customer for life, which is what we're looking to do. So you touched on strategizing previously, and I know I have had hundreds or if not thousands of conversations with people over the years in networking, and I don't want to say I can count on one hand, but probably two hands, the amount of people that call me and when the phone rings are like, hey Dave, let me just bounce an idea off of you. And you're one of those guys, which I love.
Thank
I
you.
love that I can call you and do the same thing. Anything come to mind that you learned through conversations like that?
Thank you. I mean, listen, those conversations mean everything. They really do. And I can't stress enough how important it is for people to just drop their egos and work together. It's really important. I don't care how smart, how talented you may think you are. If you're not talking to others, bouncing ideas, again, strategizing, getting advice, you're just simply not going to grow. And I just think it's really important that you have a core of close friends, business colleagues, mentors, people that you can rely on. Because, although there's always something to learn and take from somebody else's experiences.
Yeah.
Whether it's directly related to your business or not.
Right.
There's always something that you can take from that person and apply it to what you're doing and make yourself better, more knowledgeable, an expert, and an authority in your industry.
I love expert. A mentor told me once that an expert knows this much more than the person they're talking to.
Yes. And
you're an expert.
It's so important too, and there's so many people I've seen in this industry that, they become a general manager of a restaurant and they're petrified to hire somebody who's equally as qualified with them.
Right.
Or, and it really is a disservice to yourself.
Sure.
Surround yourself with better. I try to surround myself with better people all the time because it only makes me better.
I think Warren Buffett preaches that all the time, right? Surround yourself with people that are better because they're going to bring you up instead of bringing you down. That's the opposite of that, right?
It really is. So,
in the short while that we've been friends, I've seen you interact on a business level. I've seen you interact with your family. You are one of the most kindest, most welcoming people that I know.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I always wonder, was that learned or does that just come naturally to you?
No, I think it really kind of goes back to where I come from, the environment. The family that I grew up in is a very big Boston or New England Italian family.
Okay.
And the amount of love that all of them have, throughout the years, a lot of the family members have been, unfortunately had cancer, but everyone would stop what they were doing and just focus on that individual. So there was just a lot of kind of like love that was in the family, and and I just felt always treated really good, and I always felt that we're human beings. We're only put on this earth for a certain amount of time, and I think it's really important that people get along, and the more that you can help by helping others, the better the equation kind of runs. So I've had jobs out there with shitty bosses. I've been treated like shit. I don't like to be treated like shit. So I want to treat people the way I want to be treated and receive what I give.
Gotcha. Hey, that's great advice. I didn't prepare this question, but I want to ask it.
Yeah.
Was anyone in your family an inspiration? Because I know, my dad was my inspiration. My dad put himself through college, was maybe a C+ student, but he was always a risk taker, and he wasn't afraid to jump in with both feet and be an entrepreneur. And he's made a great life for himself. And he is always my inspiration with Be Sure and anything else that I try to do in my life. Did you follow anyone's footsteps, or are you the first in the Cederholm family?
I'm the first in the Cederholm family to really kind of break out, in my immediate family of being like an entrepreneur. My uncles were all entrepreneurs and contractors and, in the service industry stuff. But really where I get my work ethic and my values and wanting to really kind of push forward is my mom.
Really?
She always strived to do better. And, and the harder she got kicked down, the more she fought and the harder she worked, and
that's awesome.
And she really instilled a lot of that work ethic in me and gave me my drive to always do better.
That's great, man. Good for you. I'm happy to hear that. So in talking about these collaborations and strategizing, we've had several discussions about ideas that you have for your business. Where is Paystream going in the future?
Paystream's going in the future. We're doing a lot of things. One of the big things I want to do is, in the ideas that we talked about, is I want to start working and adding knowledge to this industry and bringing businesses. Listen, I don't care if you use me or not. That's not what it's about. What it's about is I want to see businesses thrive and succeed.
Yeah.
And if I can help businesses do that, then it's a win for me.
Sure.
I'm very blessed and very successful. And if I can pass that on and a blessing to others, then that's kind of what I want to do. So one of the things we strategized about was actually having events where we can actually bring in businesses and I can explain to them what the processing industry is about, how to really read a statement, look at the fees that you're getting charged, how not to get, the proverbial shaft, right? And get caught up with long, extensive contracts, hidden fees, things like that. And, and then at the end of the day, the reward is if I can give back to the community, that's really what I want to do.
I think education, not to say it's an untapped market, but I think for me, that's going to be the future of business and networking. I think it's all about education. I think, again, it's less about elevator pitches and putting your hand out. Even if you're putting your hand out to give a referral instead of taking one, I think people are now going to really step up and say, well, what do I know that my colleagues don't know? What do I know that my clients don't know? How can I educate people? And I think extending that olive branch is going to lead to business. It just will, because people like to receive help, and people like to deal with people that are kind and generous, and that
they do, and they see the genuine qualities out of those individuals, and people, especially with going on right now in the world, I think people need to get back to seeing
kindness.
the kindness and the generosity that people have, and and really kind of getting in tune and surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Couldn't agree more. So, last question. I asked this of all of our guests on the podcast. So if anyone in our audience is listening and considering taking the leap of faith like you did to start one or more businesses, what piece of advice would you give them today?
I would say trust the process. Trust and believe in what you're doing, that the foundation that you're laying will mold you, grow you, and set you up in perpetuity for success if you just follow a few simple-minded principles and be genuine and be true.
I love that. Wow. Great advice. And everyone's going to have their ups and downs, right?
You are.
But trust the process, and you're either going to win or you're going to learn, right?
Correct.
Well, listen, man, thank you for taking the time to join us today. You are quickly becoming one of my closest friends, which I'm really happy to say and grateful for. I'm glad we crossed paths when we did.
Absolutely.
I'm thankful that you're a part of Be Sure, and I know we're going to be doing big things together in the future. So,
yeah, for all you out there listening, if you haven't gotten on Be Sure, you should get on Be Sure. It's really a great organization. It surrounds with like-minded people.
Thank you.
And it's a very organic, homegrown business, which is great.
Wow, thank you so much. So if anyone in our audience is in need of merchant services or knows someone who may be, or you would just like a second opinion on what you're using now, or you want to receive some education from Todd, he said he's out there to help the business owner, do better, save money, and do good things themselves. So you can reach out to Todd and his team by visiting www.mypaystream.com, or you can email Todd directly at Todd, Todd, at mypaystream.com. So thank you for joining us on the Grow Your Network, Grow Your Business podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast to hear more from entrepreneurs like Todd who are building their businesses through networking. And you can also like and follow Be Sure on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And as always, everyone, remember, business relationship building is a choice, not a chore. Be sure to be building your business relationships the right way. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.